Hi, my name is Genna Stevens, and this is my cross-cultural presentation entitled Following Japanese Etiquette. So I have a question for you. Have you ever been a tourist to another country, or have you ever witnessed a tourist in your own country? Think about one of those experiences if you've had them. For example, if you've witnessed a tourist in your own country, think about how they look different, they act different. The things that they do are different from what you're used to. They stick out like a sore thumb. You know that they're a tourist. So have you ever thought about visiting another place like Japan? Japan, the culture is based on proper etiquette. It's in their everyday way of life. It's from social to business. It permeates everything. The proper etiquette is a way of being able to show respect. Knowing a few of the Japanese customs and the manners that they have will definitely get you a long way when you visit Japan. Most of us probably remember in March of this year, 2011, that Japan was hit by a huge earthquake and a tsunami resulting from that earthquake. I'm at the tech center pursuing to become an RN, and I've considered the possibility that in the future I may volunteer to go to a country that's been hit by a natural disaster or a tragedy like war or famine, something like that. And I realized that if I visit a place like that, I would have no idea what their etiquettes are, how do I act, what should I do, what should I not do, and just how nervous that would make me. So by going through this presentation and doing the research, it's a helpful exercise for me in the future if I ever do decide to volunteer my services as an RN in another country. So there's three important Japanese etiquettes that I'm going to focus on. The first is bowing when you greet somebody. The second is taking off your shoes when you enter a residence or a business. And the third is the practice of gift giving that is widespread in Japan. So first, let's talk about greeting somebody in Japan. Just like everything in Japan, the proper etiquette is based on showing proper respect. And bowing is no different. It's a form of respect, that nonverbal communication that they give to show respect to another person. An article that I found on Matador Abroad entitled 10 Customs to Know Before a Trip to Japan, it talked about how Japanese children, this practice of bowing is drilled into them from a small age when they enter school. And I realized that this is no different than what we do with our children here in America. When they address their elders, we teach them to call them by their last name, Mr. Jones or Mrs. Smith, not Jerry or Anna. So similarly, we have that kind of similar cultural thing of teaching our children respect. So the bowing is just very similar to how we teach our children to address our elders properly. A nod of the head or a small bow of the waist is usually more than enough if you're a tourist in Japan. However, some more detailed information is usually if you are going to show respect to somebody who is older than you, or maybe who is your boss or superior, you're going to bow deeper and you're going to bow longer. If it's more casual, informal occasion, and it's somebody who's similar in your age and social status, you may do a quick nod of the head or a quick small bow. So definitely not as intricate. So you're going to definitely strike a great first impression with the Japanese people by showing that you have some knowledge of their custom of bowing. But that's not their only custom. Another important custom to consider is how they take off shoes before they enter their residence, and why do they do that? Well, just like with bowing, taking your shoes off before entering their home is a sign of respect. An article that I found on ehow.com entitled "The Reasons to Take Off Your Shoes in Japan" also brought out interesting that you should take off your shoes in certain businesses. Some businesses in Japan are Western styled so that you don't have to take off your shoes, but other businesses are Japanese, and so therefore you want to make sure to take off your shoes before entering so as not to offend them. You may ask, why do they take off their shoes? Well, first of all, you have to consider that they come from a very rainy climate, so you don't want to be tracking mud into the house. It's also a hygiene issue, and the fact that A room may serve more than one purpose. A living room may also be a sleeping room. So if you're going to use that room for multiple purposes, and the fact that in the Japanese culture, when they sit down on the floor and they eat at a low table. So if they were to wear their shoes in the house, it's basically like as if they were going to eat off the floor. Would it be clean? No, definitely not. When you enter the residence, you're going to take off the shoes in the entryway. You want to make sure that when you put your shoes down, you put them down neatly, because when you first enter their home, this is their first impression to you of how they keep their home clean. So you want to make sure to show respect by putting your shoes down neatly, nicely together, and to move them over so that any other guests that can come in can take off their shoes and they have room to put their shoes down too. Also, when you enter, let's say you've been invited for dinner, they will more than likely provide you with house slippers. But one thing that you need to remember is that they use different slippers for the bathroom than they do for the rest of the house. So, for example, when you enter the bathroom, you want to make sure to take off your house slippers, put on the bathroom slippers, and before you leave the bathroom, to put your house slippers back on and to not wear the bathroom slippers all through the house. Again, it's a hygiene issue, and they'll be very offended and disrespected by you wearing the bathroom slippers all over the house. Also, we have to remember that it may seem weird that they take off their shoes before entering any sort of house, but think about it. Here in America, typically when you visit somebody else's house, you ask them, should I take off my shoes, or you may automatically do it, or in many cases I've experienced where a hostess will tell me, oh, don't worry about taking your shoes off, that's fine. So again, this is another very important part of how you can show proper manners in Japan. But they also have another ritual, and that is the practice of gift giving. So let's talk about gift giving. An interesting article that I found at assortment.com is entitled Japan Customs and Traditions, Avoid Embarrassing Yourself. So this article brought out that the custom of gift giving is widely established and well spread throughout the whole country. More emphasis is placed on the actual ritual of giving a gift than the actual gift itself. One of the reasons you would give a gift is to show appreciation. So if you're invited to dinner at a Japanese family's home, you may bring the hostess flowers, which is a typical gift, or maybe some sort of food item wrapped up very well. Also, they give gifts twice a year. They give it once in June and once in December. It's typically to co-workers, family, friends. They give small little gifts to each other. Also, when you give a gift, if you're giving a gift to an individual, you want to make sure to give them that gift in private and not give it to them in front of a group of people. And the reason that is because if you give a gift in front of a group to just one individual, then you've slighted the rest of the group. And also, it's important to remember that if you're going to give a gift to a group, have an individual gift for each group member. Gifts. Also, don't expect when you give the gift that they open it up right away. Typically, a gift that they receive, they will open up in private, and there's two reasons for that. The first being, if the gift is poor taste, then you don't have, as the gift giver, you don't have to be embarrassed or have to save face in front of them. And the other is if you're giving gifts to a group of people, you may give different gifts to different people based on their social status. For example, if it's in a work environment, you may give the boss a better gift than you would give a co-worker. So therefore, instead of having to open the gifts in front of everybody and being envious or jealous,